A fragile peace in West Asia has just been shattered. What kicked off as a regional fight is now, very quickly, spiraling into a global crisis. And honestly, it has consequences for all of us. So, what is really happening? Why should you care? And what on earth could come next? Let's break it down. Right now, seriously, from the highest levels of government to financial trading floors and probably even your living room, all eyes are on West Asia. A super rapid series of attacks and counterattacks has pushed the entire region to the brink of a much, much wider war. And just how high are the stakes? Well, the President of the United States made it crystal clear. After 3 American soldiers were killed, the White House didn't just vow retaliation. They promised to escalate things, signaling a brand new and way more dangerous phase of this whole confrontation. Okay, so how did we even get to this point? To really get what's happening now, we have to rewind a little bit. Go back to that initial flashpoint, the first wave of strikes that basically lit the fuse on this whole firestorm. It all kicked off with this rapid-fire tit-for-tat exchange. On one side, you've got the US and Israel launching these huge strikes against really critical targets inside Iran. We're talking military facilities and major command centers. And on the other side, Iran fired back with a direct missile barrage on Jerusalem, and that injured 7 people. And then, the US military came out with a statement that was almost as explosive as the strike itself. They declared that the headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, that's the IRGC, Iran's most powerful military force, was completely gone. This wasn't just a military hit, it was a message of overwhelming force. But a fire like this doesn't stay in one place for long. It almost immediately started spilling over borders, dragging in neighboring countries, and turning into a true regional inferno. And just like that, the map of this conflict just blew up. Iraq got pulled in, with strikes hitting a base for Kataib Hezbollah, a powerful militia backed by Iran. Then bam, a wave of explosions across the Gulf, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, in Bahrain's capital Manama, even in Doha, Qatar. And at the same time, Israel was hitting Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. The crisis was officially out of the box. The reaction from other countries in the neighborhood was, as you can imagine, fast and furious. In a joint statement, Arab allies came out and condemned Iran's actions. They specifically called the targeting of civilians reckless and destabilizing. This was a huge deal, a major diplomatic line being drawn in the sand. And it wasn't just regional players getting involved. Oh no, the United Kingdom announced it would let the US use its bases, but, and this is a big but, only for a specific and limited defensive purpose, basically to help shoot down Iranian missiles. It's a classic move, right? You're trying to help your ally without getting dragged into a direct war. A very fine line to walk. Military shockwaves have a funny way of turning into economic ones, almost instantly. As the conflict blew up, fear and uncertainty just ripped through the global economy, sending markets from Tokyo to New York into a nosedive. And here's the proof. Look at this. Within minutes of the market's opening, the price of Brent crude oil, that's the big international benchmark, spiked by over 13%. That's a pure gut reaction. Traders terrified that oil supplies from this supercritical region could just get cut off. And believe me, that fear wasn't just about oil. Stock markets everywhere plunged. In India, for instance, the Sensex index dropped by nearly 1,000 points right at the opening bell. That's just widespread anxiety about what this whole mess means for global stability. So what's the vibe on the trading floor? How do you sum all this up? Well, one trader did it in just 2 words: pure panic. And that, right there, captures the raw emotion that's driving all this financial chaos. And this panic wasn't just numbers on a screen. It had immediate, real-world effects. The shipping giant Maersk suspended all its ships from going through key routes. The Strait of Hormuz, this little choke point that carries a fifth of the world's oil, was basically shut down. So of course, gold prices climbed as investors ran for safety, and thousands of flights were canceled, leaving travelers stranded all over the world. Look, beyond all the politics, beyond the stock tickers, there's a real human cost here. And it's the ordinary people who are caught right in the middle of it all. In the UAE, for example, the strikes tragically took innocent lives. And the victims were foreign nationals from Pakistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. It just shows you this wasn't just an attack on a country. It was an attack on the diverse global community that actually lives and works there. And the scale of this assault, it was just immense. The UAE said it detected 165 ballistic missiles coming at its territory. They managed to intercept 152 of them, which is incredible, but it just highlights the sheer severity of the attack. But here's where it gets kind of surreal. Amidst all this chaos, a political analyst on the ground in Dubai said, "From the ground, I tell you everything is normal. I just came from the gym this morning." It's just a stunning contrast, isn't it? A city trying its best to carry on as usual, even under the threat of missile attack. And this is where the diplomatic side gets incredibly tricky, especially for countries that have tons of their citizens living there. I mean, take India. There are 3.5 million Indian citizens living and working in the UAE. So, of course, protecting them becomes the number one priority, and it forces governments like India's into a really, really delicate balancing act. So, all of this, everything we've talked about, it all boils down to one huge question. Where does this go from here? The future of the entire region, and maybe even global stability itself, is hanging in the balance right now. And if you're listening to the diplomats, there's one word you're hearing over and over again: de-escalation. It's this constant call for everyone to just take a breath, a call for restraint, for talking instead of fighting, for pulling back from the brink before this turns into an even bigger, more devastating war. And that's it, isn't it? That's the choice on the table for every country involved. Are they going to let this cycle of retaliation keep spinning out of control into a horrific all-out war? Or can they somehow, someway find a path back to peace? I mean, the cost is already staggering. We're measuring it in lost lives, in economic chaos, in global instability. But as the entire world just holds its breath, the final, terrifying question is still out there. What will the true ultimate cost of this conflict actually be?
Like the video, subscribe to The Explainer, and stay informed about the world that shapes our future.